Story 1. Honestly, no one says I love you to me more often than my mom. She never misses a day. Story 2. My daughter tells me, I love you, Dad, at least 10 times a day and constantly makes little pictures and cards that say, you're the best dad ever. I know I'm not the best father in the world, but as long as she is smiling and telling me she loves me, I must be doing something right. Story 3. My wife tells me this every time I leave the room and every night before bed. Story 4. My boyfriend always makes it clear that he loves me, finds me beautiful and sexy, and is deeply attracted to me. This usually leads to making out, playful smacks, and neck kisses. He has done this since we first met. Not gonna lie, I thought he was love bombing me for a while. No, he is just a very passionate and loving person. He watches military history and nature documentaries for fun, and when I try to cuddle him while he is asleep, he shouts, unhand me, I have a girlfriend. He is adorable. Story 5. In 36 years of life, absolutely no one. Story 6. My 6-year-old great-granddaughter speaks 3 languages plus American Sign Language. She is a smart child. I am 73 and can only speak English and poor English at that. Story 7. A toddler cannot say it yet, but he shows it with random slobbery kisses. Story 8. The man I met after my husband of 25 years threw me and his boys in the bin. I am writing in my journal now. I love how he tells me and shows me every single day that he loves me, even while he is away working. It does not matter where he is, what he is doing, or who he is with. I am learning to accept that this absolute banana of a man actually loves me. This involves learning to see myself in a kinder light, because I cannot be a worthless piece of trash if this wonderful man sees something in me that makes him love me the way he does. It is mind-bending for sure, but gosh, it is a beautiful one. Story 9. My 3-year-old. It is the best feeling in the world when she says, Mummy, I love you so much. Do you know that? And then licks me. Story 10. My wife and my son tell me they love me every day. I tell them I love them too. Story 11. My mom, then my girlfriend. She shows me she cares in special ways and is patient. She says it sometimes too. Story 12. At least once each day, my cat stands on my lap. I lean toward him a bit, and he stretches to bump his forehead against mine. In actual words, probably my son. Story 13. My wife of more than 20 years still makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Story 14. Thankfully my wife does, but she usually hands it to me right before asking me to get something from the top shelf. Story 15. My man. I have never been told that I am loved, nor shown that I am loved, by another person more in my life, including by my parents. Story 16. It's a toss-up between my daughters and my wife. I loved my mother dearly, but we were not demonstrative of our feelings. Story 17. My parents, my husband, and my kids are important to me. There is something especially meaningful when my children say it. You know you are an important part of their world. Story 18. My kids are always saying it and I say it back. Sometimes the youngest will pop into my room, say I love you, and then leave. Story 19. My best friend and I text each other good night and say I love you every night. Story 20. My fiancé first, then my little brother. I'm very fortunate. Story 21. My husband and daughter tell me, I love you, every day, multiple times a day. I always say it back. Story 22. My wife tells me this every day, and I tell her the same. When I'm feeling cheeky, I say I know or I tolerate you too, my dearest. I also tell her you're an awesome wife. Keep that shit up, then give her a pat on the ass. Story 23. My mom for sure. Even when I was in a relationship, she said it more than he ever did. Story 24. My daughter takes this approach most of all. The other main people in my life, my wife, son, and parents, do as well but less often. She has taken the idea of treating the last thing you say to someone as possibly the last thing you ever say to them very seriously. It is actually really nice. Story 25. I look in the mirror every day. That is how I keep going, and it is one of my motivations to continue treating my body well. Story 26. My partner tells me they love me all the time, and it never gets old. It really brightens my day. Story 27. My grandma used to do that every time I talked to her. It was cute and I miss it. Story 28. My family never says I love you to one another, but my friends say it almost every time we say goodbye. Story 29. My daughter is 7 years old and says it in response when I say I love you. I have told her those words every day of her life. Story 30. One of my jobs is at a community-based program that supports adults with various disabilities. Sometimes I feel like the world is too much and I will never be enough. When I go to work, I am told and shown that I am loved and appreciated as soon as people arrive at our facility and several times throughout the day. Many of the people have no filter, so I am sometimes asked why I look tired or why my stomach is big. When they are sweet, I am especially grateful for the love. Story 31. My husband tells and shows me all the time. I never doubt his love for me. Story 32. My dog says it in 1,000 different ways. When he follows me all over the house. When he rests his chin on me while I work. When, out of all the spots on the king-size bed, he chooses one that ensures he is touching me. When he walks up to me and boops my nose. Story 33. Honestly, my cat. She greets me with so much affection every morning and when I get home from work. Then she fills every other moment with sass. I would not know where I would be without her. Story 34. Literally nobody. I don't remember the last time I was told those 3 words. Story 35. My wife says it more than any other partner or even my parents did. Story 36. A random manager at work, a big black man named Emmanuel, often says that if nobody told you today, he loves you. I replied, I love you too, Emmanuel. Story 37. My daughter. I take pride in knowing I pour so much love into her that she returns it to me. Story 38. My husband and I say it multiple times a day. Story 39. My wife, my daughter, and I say I love you to each other several times every day. Story 40. My wife tells me all the time when one of us leaves the house, goes to bed, or even when we are sitting next to each other. My cat is a close second, if you count head bunts and slow blinks. Story 41. My 2-year-old is literally the sweetest thing in the entire world. Story 42. No one tells me they love me. They have not for years. Story 43. I can't remember who told me last. I guess it was my sister. That doesn't mean I don't feel loved, though. I feel very loved. Story 44. My dad. The only reason the answer is not my mom is that I see him more often. We go out for drinks a couple of times a month, and my mom does not want to go. We all say it every time we see each other. Story 45. My 6-year-old daughter often just walks over, hugs me, and says she loves me. Story 46. Jesus. I do not know if this is good or bad. Random students at my school. I am a married man. My wife and I never say I love you to each other, and I do not talk to my parents much, maybe once or twice a year. I tell my cats I love them fairly often, but usually while moving them off me. That does not change that I love and care for them. I just really need to pee. Story 47. My friends do not say it, but their vibe does. They will bully me all day, then suddenly bring me food. Story 48. My mom is the reason I push myself hard in life. Story 49. I talk with my husband many times a day. I talk with my son at least once a day. I talk with my grandson a few times a day. I talk with my dad every other day on the phone. Story 50. Probably my mom, because I won't let her hang up the phone without saying it. I take pride in knowing that I am that person for most people. Story 51. I never heard that growing up, so I made it a priority to make sure my wife knows how I feel, and she does too. She's the only person I tell often. Story 52. I talk to my wife every day, sometimes more than once. My mother is a distant second. I speak with her about once every few months. I don't think there is a third. No one else comes to mind. Story 53. My older son is 31, and I still get random text messages from him telling me that he loves me. Story 54. No one. I guess my friends occasionally say it now and then, It is strangely unsaid in my family. I think my mother has trauma around it, and I, in turn, find it awkward now. In recent years, she always says, "Take care," when we hang up and waits for me to say, "You too." I think that is her way of expressing it. I feel loved, so it is okay. Love can be expressed in many ways beyond words. Story 55. Honestly, I can't remember the last time someone said it to me and genuinely meant it. Story 56. It is a toss-up between my wife and mother-in-law. They are at the beginning and end of every conversation, and occasionally appear a few times in the middle as well. Story 57. My boyfriend says it multiple times a day, and I never miss a phone call with my mother on the way home from work. Story 58. I message my kids at least twice daily, at wake-up time and at bedtime and many times in between. I message my mom every day. We exchange a nightly text that says night-night, sweet dreams, love you. I message my husband most days but not necessarily every day. Story 59. My mom, my dad, my sister and other family members tell me they love me, but no one outside my family does. Story 60. It used to be my parents, but now it's my sister, since they are gone. My best friend and I also say it sometimes. It's important to let your people know how much they mean to you. Story 61. My partner. If my animal companions could articulate their feelings, it would be a close contest. Story 62. My dad and I say I love you every time we hang up the phone. Almost every day. Story 63. My cats, even though they don't speak English, tell me in other ways. Story 64. A close friend of mine. We consider ourselves half-siblings. Story 65. My partner and I tell each other daily, often impromptu. Story 66. My kids. We have never parted or hung up the phone without saying it. Story 67. My daughter is 10 years old and my son is 13 years old. I see my daughter several times a day and my son every night before bed. Story 68. My cats scream for food more than anything else. Story 69. My dog can't talk, but I know. Honestly, I don't hear voices. Story 70. My mother loves me. She treats me like an extension she can control. But if I don't serve a purpose, JY can focal done NIE. You can't do anything. No one else. Story 71. Probably in order: my daughter, aged 14, my mother, then my middle son, aged 17. My 18-year-old never says it and is not physically affectionate. But I have no doubt he loves me because he is the most thoughtful of all my children and shows me every day. Story 72. I must tell myself every day, in a world gone completely mad. Story 73. No idea. Through spiritual teachings I have learned that I am surrounded by love at all times. So if someone says otherwise, it makes no difference. I value everyone for what they teach me by being who they are. Story 74. When my mother and one of my friends are together, it is always very awkward, even at my age. Story 75. My child or my cat. You can't tell me he doesn't mean that when he headbutts my face and presses the side of his mouth against me. Kitty hugs and kisses. Story 76. My wife and then my mother because I do not live with her anymore. Story 77. My parents always say it whenever we leave the house or end a phone call. They taught me at a young age that love is an act of labor. It doesn't mean anything to say it if you're not doing the work to show it. They raised my standards for all my relationships and for myself. Story 78. My wife almost never said, "I love you." She had trouble saying it even in our early years together, when we were together around the clock, and she still rarely says it. My parents are emotionally closed, like two bricks, so nobody in my family expresses emotions. Story 79. My mom texts me every night before bed that she loves me. All of my children, including my 16 and 14-year-old sons, tell me multiple times a day. My best friend tells me every day. My partner tells me at least a few times a week, but he grew up in a household where people did not say that to each other. I am lucky that the last words I spoke to my dad included "love you." You never know what will happen. Tell people you love them freely and often. Story 80. The last person who told me this was a friend. I considered saying it back, but I said it anyway. I probably will not hear from her again for a while. Story 81. I do not remember anyone ever saying that to me, and I have never said it to anyone. Story 82. Probably my little sibling. They say it all the time, and it always makes me smile. Story 83. Nobody tells me they love me, not even my wife, unless I say it first or they are leaving. Story 84. My family tells me they love me through actions rather than words. My ex-boyfriend, now my best friend, tells me he loves me often, and I tell him the same because I genuinely love him. Story 85. My best friend. We don't even say it in a dramatic way. It's more like, love you, idiot, when we hang up the phone. Consistency beats grand gestures. Story 86. Since the week he told me he loved me, I do not think there has been a single day he has not said it. Lately it feels suspicious if he says it fewer than 5 times a day. He also shows it, which matters more to me. Story 87. My brother. Every time we end a call or leave Discord, we say, love you, brother. Story 88. Come to think of it, my fiancée has stopped telling me she loves me. At least not without my saying it first. Story 89. In order: my mom, my fiancé, and my best friend. Honorable mention goes to my cat, who sticks her butt directly in my face 17 times a day and gives me slow blinks 10 seconds before she causes mayhem and I have to wrangle her. Story 90. My mother says she loves me, but it is sporadic. I guess she saves those words only for special occasions. No one else tells me they love me. Story 91. Nobody has ever truly loved me and never will, no matter how much honesty and kindness I show. Story 92. My grown children come first, followed by my parents. We are really big on telling each other I love you in my family. So much so that my best friend has adopted the sentiment and now does the same with me and her immediate family. Story 93. Stop worrying about whether others love you. Worry about whether you love yourself. Story 94. My wife messages me via WhatsApp throughout the day. As soon as she wakes up, when she leaves for work, at dinner time, when she gets home, and before we go to sleep. I hear I love you a few times a day. It's always nice to hear. Story 95. The people who matter don't always say it the most, but they show it the best. Story 96. My wife expresses it every day. My oldest child does most days. My youngest cannot say it yet, but his hugs say it for me. Story 97. My sister and I tell each other we love one another whenever we talk. She is halfway around the world, and it always makes my day. I miss her now. Story 98. She used to be my girl. Lately, she has been very upset with me. She is the love of my life, everything I ever asked for. Story 99. That creepy motherfucker in the mirror. I barely consider him a friend. Story 100. Probably my mother. I do not see her often anymore, but I usually see her just before I leave for work once or twice a month, and she tosses it over my shoulder. It is nice. Story 101. Jack Russell Terrier. You can tell because she tries to French kiss you. Story 102. That's a tie between my girlfriend and my boyfriend. I'm not counting. That's a recipe for disaster, but they both say it to me every day. Story 103. My son almost never speaks, but I am glad he is so reticent because it means a lot when he is tired enough that he lets it slip. Story 104. This is a tough one. My mom, my son, or the love of my life? I'm not sure, but I hear it every day and it's amazing. Story 105. Honestly, no one. I'm the expressive one in our family. I'm hoping to hear it from them too. Story 106. My ex-fiancé. It turns out that the words I love you can also be toxic, depending on how they are said. Still, it is nice to hear. There are many men out there who do not hear it at all. I hear it pretty much every day. Story 107. My boyfriend. My son, who is now an adult, and my dog are a small, happy family. My dog can't say it, but he shows it every day. I say it to them often as well. Story 108. She is my best friend. She does not say it often or every day, but she says it more than anyone else. Story 109. My mother still texts it to me every day, but she was abusive, so it feels insincere. It is genuine when it comes from my childhood best friend. Story 110. Probably my mother. She sends a text message or calls just to say it, even on random days. Story 111. My best friend, whom I live with, is first. My mother is second. Another close friend is third. Story 112. My parents always tell me, I love you, when we end a phone call or when I leave the house. It is not a random thing for them to say. If I open a bag of chips, my boyfriend will just stare at me, smiling and say, I just love you so much. It makes me feel really special because he reminds me he loves me as often as possible. Story 113. Excluding my dogs, who tell me constantly, it would be my husband. I tell him as often. Story 114. First my daughter, then my team at work. Only 3 of us doing the work of 10. We are small but mighty. Story 115. My divorced, 50-something mother is the only person in my life who says that. My kids have not told me they love me in years, but for Father's Day I got a mug from my 18-year-old that said, "Love you, Dad," on it, and I cried. It is not as though we are estranged. We live together, spend a lot of time together, and get along fine. Reading this makes me sound pathetic. It hurts to have only one person in your life who says they love you, and then only in response to you saying it first. Story 116. My mom calls me every evening after work to say I love you no matter what. It's a tradition. We live in different countries, and I see her only a couple of times a year. Story 117. My best mate is the only person who makes a point of saying they love me, although my mom and my best friend love me too. Story 118. I feel lucky to be able to say this about my 17-year-old son. It is not easy raising a teenager or young adult, but even when we are mad at each other, we say, I love you, before leaving the house. We say it at least once a day. Story 119. My brother. I am sort of his personal assistant, so he is always buttering me up. Story 120. People often do not, but my dog shows affection non-verbally by sitting on my lap, despite weighing 106 pounds, or by pushing his head into my chest when I come home and sit on the sofa. Dogs are great. Story 121. My mom is thousands of miles away, but my husband is probably close or right here with me. Laughing out loud. Story 122. A guy who has liked me for about a year still does not show it through his actions. How can he say things that make me feel loved yet not do anything to prove that love? Story 123. I was going to say that my mom is pretty much the only one who tells me that, but I remembered that a coworker occasionally tells me she loves me too, which makes me laugh. My mom, though, definitely is the one. Story 124. My boyfriend. Not a day goes by when he does not tell me I love you at least 20 times. Story 125. No one. Yes, I have both parents. I am not married and have no children. I am a 43-year-old male. Story 126. My partner says it many times a day. It is such a big change from my failed marriage that it makes life much easier. Story 127. No one in our family says it, but we show it through our actions. Story 128. My sister, probably. I do not think anyone else has said that to me in a long time, except my ex, back when we were together. Story 129. My dad. As a gay man with an ultra-conservative father, this means a lot to me. We do not see eye to eye on many social issues, especially in today's political climate, but he always reminds me that he loves me before we get off the phone. Story 130. Only I know who loves me, so they do not actually need to tell me. I hope that makes sense. Story 131. My partner, for sure. I can't scroll my phone without a heart or 3 popping up. Story 132. My daughter. My wife tried to compete, but I didn't really believe her. Story 133. My partner and I tell one another I love you 5 or more times a day, and it really helps on rough days. Story 134. My dog's name is Chico. I was on vacation for 1 week. When I came home, he kissed me and hugged me for a long time. By the way, I taught him how to hug. He is so adorable. He may not speak, but he practically does through his actions. Story 135, my best friends, to be honest, followed by my parents. Make sure you let your people know you love them. Story 136. My 9-year-old granddaughter follows this routine each morning before going to school and each night before going to bed. Story 137. My partner and I say it multiple times a day when we wake up, leave for work, get off the phone, or just because. I did not grow up in a family that said it. Story 138. I am the person who says I love you the most to everyone. My daughter, by far, responds with I love you the most. My son says it the least. I do not really speak Wookiee, and he just grunts and groans, so maybe he is saying it back. Story 139. Friends. For sure. I cannot say which one in particular, but most of the time when I see or speak with friends, we say that to each other. Story 140. My husband shows he loves me with every call, every kiss, and random gestures throughout the day. Acts of service, words of affirmation, and physical affection. We have been together for 15 years and married for 9. Story 141. 2 to 3 times a year. I am 47 and have been married 6 years with no children. So I guess it is no surprise that it is my parents. Story 142. The little old ladies at church always notice whatever I wear because I dress in very campy clothing. I have something up my sleeve for Sunday that they are going to love. Imagine a poodle skirt, but instead of a poodle it is a turkey. My church is having a Thanksgiving meal, so a turkey skirt will be fitting for the occasion. Story 143. I cannot assist with requests that sexualize minors. If you meant your adult boyfriend, my boyfriend is sadly moving. If you meant a preschool student, non-romantic. One of my preschool students is sadly moving. Story 144. My cats cannot speak, but I know from their behavior. Story 145. My kiddo is with me several times a day, and I love every minute of it. Story 146. My husband, my sister, and my son tell me every day that I am blessed. Story 147. My kitty, except for my mother, who is a liar and believes her own falsehoods. Story 148. My 12-year-old son is growing up. I'm not looking forward to him becoming a difficult teenager. He says he won't, but I already notice changes in his attitude. Story 149. My dad nodded at me when I graduated from college. That was as close as he came, but I knew what he meant. Story 150. My friends, it felt weird reading the comments when 90% of them were from family. My family and I love each other dearly, but saying I love you has never been our thing. I'm very huggy and touchy with my friends, but I do not remember a time I hugged my parents. Story 151. I am lucky that my sister and my best friend are 2 different people. Story 152. My adult daughter, my only child, shows me how much she loves me all the time. I feel so blessed. Story 153. I kept 4 of my granddaughters out of daycare. I am lucky. Story 154. My son is 10, so that will stop for a bit soon. It is nice for now. Story 155. My mom and my husband tell me every day, and so do my dogs and my cat, which makes me laugh. Story 156. My dog does not speak English, but the tale translations are clear. Story 157. It used to be my mother, but she is no longer here. There is no one here now. Story 158. Surprise. Right after my significant other, it was my 22-year-old son, a welder. We work at the same place and I hear it twice a day, 5 days a week. Best thing ever. Story 159. My wife an outrageous number of times a day. People at church, pastors, and fellow parishioners. Story 160. My long-distance boyfriend is the only person I talk to every day, and he adores me. Story 161. My partner is followed closely by my son. That's also because our jobs give us the freedom to chat on the phone quite a bit. I'm sure if my son had the same ability to talk during the day, he might beat my partner out, laughing out loud. Story 162. I could joke, as many others have, but I genuinely cannot remember the last time someone said it. It was definitely before the coronavirus pandemic, probably the woman I had dated for 2 years before that. Story 163. Thank you for making me realize I have not heard it for at least a month. Story 164. My best friend for sure. She is the first person, aside from a significant other, to whom I said I love you. We say it often, especially since she has become more of a sister to me than a friend. Story 165. I haven't heard anyone say that since my sister messaged me before she boarded a plane. Story 166. My husband tells me multiple times every day, and it always makes my heart so happy. Story 167. My 4-year-old is the only one who tells me. Story 168. My coworkers say welcome to Walmart. I love you daily. Story 169. My best friend? Now that I think of it, that is strange. Story 170. It's a tie between my husband and my sister, which is odd because my family was not the type to say I love you, and my sister only began saying it after my mother died in 2015. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.